Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Boo-hoo-hoo! Access Media says it's all review bombing of The Last of Us Season 2. That backlash, that famously terrible second game, that element of the second game that everyone hated, famously hated. That thing that they chose to include in the games, definitely not going to be famously hated again, is it? No, definitely not. It's all review bombing, guys. What are you talking about? People loved it when it came out in the game. They loved it. They loved seeing the Joel in one. Anyway, Access Media is like, yeah, nah, mate, it's just review bombing. Of course they are. This is just standard and comical as well. So I thought we'd dive into this today because it's very, very funny. I did a video on all of this when the reviews were coming out on Rotten Tomatoes. And yeah, it looked pretty bad, to be honest. Like if you compare like for like, you compare Season 1 with Season 2. Season 2 is, well, it's falling on its arse, basically. It's really, really, really bad in terms of the reviews. Direct comparison, Season 1 to Season 2. So, you know, it's not just a case of people... It's not just a case of people review bombing if the first season had positive reviews and the second one doesn't. Right? That's people actually just expressing their opinion. And you'd think Season 1, which caused a great deal of controversy with the gay lovers part, right? That was much hated online, generally speaking. I didn't mind it, actually, to be fair. I thought, as it goes, that's a relatively okay form of inclusion, quite frankly. But you'd think that that one would cause Season 1 to be incredibly downvoted, but it wasn't. And so if you're comparing them like for like, it does seem to be a little bit more to it than just review bombing, doesn't it? And again, like I said, famously, The Last of Us Part 2 was hated because of the Joel in 1. And so it happens in Part 2, you know, Season 2. I mean, of course it's going to be hated. Like, what do you expect? But no, of course it's review bombing. But anyway, we're going to dive into this. Please do hit subscribe if you're new here. We're trying to hit 500,000 subscribers. Can't do it without your help. So it'd be really good to, yeah, have your subscription. It's free. Anyway, cheers. Let's take a look. I'll leave this article linked down below. So this is pretty standard stuff. It's what we always get with this nonsense. So it says this: despite mainstream media rushing to frame the reaction to The Last of Us Season 2 as manufactured review bombing outrage, the backlash surrounding the Joel in 1 is much deeper and far more authentic than critics would have audiences believe. So in a now widely circulated article from Collider, the site claims that The Last of Us show has fallen prey to review bombing. That's right, Collider, famous shills. Dismissing the outcry from viewers as a little more than coordinated trolling. Right, so did they all do that for the game as well? Like, at what point is review bombing just people expressing their opinion? Like, honestly, I want to know. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand at what point which is which. You tell me, because I don't... Yeah. To these idiots, I can't discern the difference, right? Anyway, it said this: it would appear that the trolls are out of their caves. Writer Rahul Malhotra begins before blaming the show's declining audience score on Rotten Tomatoes on disgruntled viewers. Yeah, so you... Yeah. What? Do you have to like everything then? What? What a weird opinion. With a supposed vendetta against female-led productions. No. Because people really like the game. So it's not that, is it? It's not that. It's a familiar screech resounding from a mainstream access media machine that often tries to cover up fan dissatisfaction by blaming it on ideologically driven coordinated hate campaigns. Also, just as an FYI, even if it is ideologically driven, who cares? We're the consumer. We literally dictate whether you have a business or not. So, actually, no. It doesn't matter. On a philosophical level, right, we live in a capitalist society. Okay, so just get down to the brass taxes of it. Even if it was an ideologically driven hate sort of campaign, right? People not wanting female-led productions. Even if it was that. So? Do we have to enjoy all the slop you put out? No, we don't, actually. And if you want a business moving forward, you better listen. Because, funnily enough, we are a capitalist society, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the consumer has the power. But access media, normally run by socialist tards, don't understand that. So anyway, it says this. A familiar outrage repeats itself organically. So when the Collider article ignores is that the backlash to Joel's removal isn't just coming from long-time gamers, it's now being echoed by new viewers, which is true, actually. I read the reviews. So in 2020, fans of The Last of Us Part 2 were blindsided by how quickly the sequel pivoted away from its central character. Many expressed that Joel's absence left a narrative void that the rest of the game couldn't fill. Now, 5 years later, audiences who never played the games are reaching the exact same conclusion. Yeah, funnily enough, like narratives, people respond to narratives pretty much like universally. So these viewers didn't come in with preloaded expectations. They simply connected with Joel over the course of season 1. Also, you've got to remember, there are Pedro Pascal fans. People would have watched the show just for Pedro Pascal. And this is the problem. This is what I said in my reviews of this, is that, you know, when you bank on that star power, and you then kill him, well, you fucked up, haven't you, really? Basically. Obviously. So the numbers don't lie. The Last of Us Season 2 debuted with strong critic reviews, currently holding a 96% score on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score is another story entirely. As Collider itself admitted, the audience score recently dropped further to 52%. Rather than entertain the idea that real viewers might be expressing valid frustration, the article leaps to accusations of coordinated manipulation, claiming this is what happens when review bombers target women. Again, even if that was the case, who cares? It's not, FYI, but even if it was, who actually cares? This is a capitalist society. Suck it up. Get on with it. Unless you're going to force feed slop to everyone and make people give you money, we still have that freedom of choice and the freedom to voice that opinion as well. But it isn't that. It is the fact that the narrative sucks. So it's an irresponsible stretch by Malhotra. While some complaints do involve casting concerns, specifically around Bella Ramsey's performance as Ellie, yeah, which sucks. It's not about gender. It's about whether the portrayal aligns with the character fans knew from the games, which is true. People are like, she can't act and she looks like she's been smashed in the face with a spade. You could have got literally anyone else. Kaylee Spaney would have played a good Ellie, right? And that's a valid discussion in any adaptation. Yep, of course it is. So selective history, bad faith comparisons. Collider piece doesn't stop there. It ties Joel exit to an entire chain of unrelated controversies. Quote, in fact, Rotten Tomatoes was forced to rework its audience rating system after Captain Marvel witnessed similar targeting in 2019. Halle Bailey's casting in the Little Mermaid remake also ruffled the feathers of trolls, whilst Rachel Zegler's pro-Palestine comments got them to tank the recent Snow White remake's IMDb score. Really? I mean, that's just a dog shit movie regardless. Anyway, whatever. So the article lumps together every backlash into a single monolithic straw man, equating legitimate story criticism with online trolling, and just like the Star Wars The Last Jedi reaction, is once again being blamed on toxic fans rather than acknowledged as a response to narrative choices that didn't land with the broader audience. There you go. I don't really have much else to say, to be fair. I think I've broken this down. Doesn't even matter if it was ideologically driven. We are capitalists. You have to suck it up. You have to give consumers what they want. But it's not that. It's the fact that the narrative sucks. And the Ellie casting sucks. Anyway, leave your thoughts down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.